Welcome to the online immigration briefing for F1 students. In this briefing, we will be reviewing important information about the F1 student visa status. At the end of this briefing, there will be a quiz. Students will need to complete the quiz in order to complete the briefing process. First, we're going to review the immigration documents briefly and review the purpose of each document. So let's get started. This is an example of the I-20. The I-20 is a surprisingly important document. You'll need to keep your original I-20 with you during your studies in the United States. On the I-20, you can see it shows your major, the type of degree, the university you attend, and the location of the university. We want to highlight the program end date on the I-20. You can see it circled here in red. This shows when you are expected to finish your degree. If you need additional time to complete your degree program, you must extend your I-20 before this date. The deadline is extremely important, and we recommend for students to mark their calendars and set a reminder about this program end date. After this date has passed, the student status is considered complete, and you should be preparing to leave the U.S. Please work with the International Student Services staff to extend your I-20 if you need more time to finish your degree. On page 2 of the I-20, you'll see a section called Travel Endorsement. If you will be traveling internationally, the officers at the airport will expect this section to be signed by the International Student Services staff each year. If your I-20 is not properly signed each year, you will likely have problems returning to the U.S. Please mark your calendar and set a reminder to bring your I-20 to the office to be signed. This is an example of an F1 student visa. A visa is a travel document used to enter the U.S. You will see an issue date and an expiration date on your visa. These are the dates when you're eligible to travel into the U.S. If the visa expires while you are in the U.S., that is not a problem. Remember, the visa is only used to enter the U.S. Don't forget, if you travel outside of the U.S., please remember that your visa needs to be valid to return. So again, to review, it is only a travel document that you use to enter the U.S. If it expires while you're here, that is not a problem. Next, we have the I-94. The I-94 is the record created by the officers working at the airport or at the border when you enter the country. It is the official proof that you've entered the U.S., it confirms your immigration status, and it shows how long you can stay in the U.S. On this example, you will see admit until date D/S. D/S means that students may stay in the U.S. to study for the duration of status. Every time you enter the U.S., we want you to double-check your I-94 to make sure everything is correct. The I-94 can be accessed online. As you well know, your passport should be valid during your entire time studying in the U.S. If it's going to expire, please contact your embassy for renewal. Please keep all of your previous immigration documents. If you have more than one I-20, more than one passport or visa, please keep copies of everything. Depending on your situation, you may need to provide copies of those documents in the future. Our office does our best to maintain copies of some documents, but it's only for a limited time. It is your responsibility to maintain your own records. Now we're going to talk a little bit about traveling. Many students choose to travel home during vacation periods and holidays. As always, you will need to have a valid passport, a valid visa, and a current I-20 which has been signed within the last year. Just to be extra cautious, students can also bring a copy of their course schedule to prove that they are enrolled. Please keep all of your original travel documents with you and do not put them in your suitcase. You will need them. Since customs and immigration lines are unpredictable and can be very long, we recommend leaving plenty of time between connecting flights. Depending on your location and the day, the wait can be for a few hours. Many students choose to travel while in the U.S. There are immigration checkpoints found up to 100 miles or 160 kilometers away from the Mexican border and the Canadian border. If you're traveling close to either of the borders, you will need to have your original travel documents with you. If you're not traveling close to the border, you should just be able to travel using a U.S. driver's license or ID. We do recommend students to consider taking your original documents whenever you leave Austin. So to review again, those original documents are the passport, visa, and I-20. If students are worried about losing those original documents, don't take them with you, but at least have access to copies during your travel. Next, we will talk about how to maintain your student visa status while in the U.S. We want to remind students that your immigration status is yours. Please take ownership, be proactive, ask International Student Services questions when you're confused, and always keep track of dates and deadlines. The most important rule to being an international student with the International Student Visa is to stay enrolled. Full-time enrollment for undergraduate students is considered 12 credit hours. Usually that's around 4 classes. For graduate students, they are required to enroll in at least 9 credit hours every semester, which is typically 3 classes. In the summertime, full-time enrollment is not required. Full-time enrollment in summer is optional. Some students choose to travel in the vacation period. It's all optional. At times, there are some exceptions to the full-time enrollment rule, but they always require authorization first. A few examples are academic issues in the first year. You'll want to talk to an International Student Services advisor about your situation to see if it fits in one of these exceptions. Sometimes, with serious medical issues, we can authorize students to be under-enrolled, but we will always need documentation from a doctor or psychologist. In the final semester, if students do not need more than 12 credit hours to graduate, they are given permission to under-enroll. Please contact ISS if you do not need to enroll full-time in your final semester to graduate. After graduation, students have a grace period which allows them to stay in the U.S. For F1 students, the grace period is 60 days. If you leave the U.S. during that time, after your end date, you won't be able to return with your student visa again. If you have questions about traveling or the grace period, please contact an International Student Services advisor. Serious drug and alcohol-related arrests can impact or even cancel your student visa status, and it can have effects on future visa applications. In the United States, the drinking age is 21 years old. In Texas, marijuana is not legal. For information about safety, we recommend students to contact our university police department, and for emergencies, you can dial 911. Just like in any country, we recommend students to travel in groups, to be aware of your surroundings and belongings, and plan for a trip home. Now we're going to talk about the 3 different types of work authorization available to F1 international students. Please do not start work without authorization. Working in the U.S. without permission is a very serious violation. Employment rules can be complicated, so we recommend that you check with an ISS advisor in advance when you have doubts. Internships and unpaid work can be considered employment and also must be approved. The first type of work we're going to review is on-campus employment. Luckily, F1 students can work on campus up to 20 hours per week when school is in session. Work must take place on campus, it must be paid by St. Edward's University, and overall, it must serve the campus community. A few other types of employment. First, we have what's called OPT. OPT stands for Optional Practical Training. It is 1 year of employment after graduation. It requires International Student Services assistance to help you apply. CPT stands for Curricular Practical Training. Most commonly, CPT is work authorization for an internship related to your major during your program. It also requires students to be enrolled in an internship course and receive approval from International Student Services. A Social Security number can only be issued if you have employment authorization. If you have an on-campus job, International Student Services can write a letter for you that will be helpful with your Social Security application. More information about Social Security can be found on our website. All international students should file at least one tax form each year. The type of form you submit depends on whether you received U.S. income, income about scholarships, housing stipends, cash awards, things like that. So let's look at the table at the bottom of the slide. If an F1 student received U.S. income, they should at least file the form 1040 NREZ or 1040 NR and 8843. For students who did not earn any U.S. income, they just must submit the form 8843. Luckily, for students who work on campus, there's a tax filing software called Glacier Tax Prep. If you work on campus, it's important to set up your Glacier profile correctly so that the right amount of money is saved for your taxes. Please contact the payroll office for questions about using Glacier Tax Prep when working on campus. Next, we're going to talk about some of the potential immigration problems. Not following the rules and requirements of the student visa can result in the loss of your visa status. You can lose your student visa benefits like employment, your ability to stay in the U.S., and your ability to apply for a visa in the future. We want to avoid immigration problems at all costs. Let's review some of the common reasons for loss of immigration status. The number one is failure to enroll full-time. When students don't enroll full-time, their immigration status will automatically terminate. Failure to extend the I-20 will also result in a termination of the status. For students who work without authorization, their status will be terminated and is one of the most difficult methods for regaining status. Violation of many of the U.S. state and federal laws. Failure to make normal academic progress. At St. Ed's, that typically includes academic dismissal. And finally, failure to keep your I-20 updated. So that means if you change schools, change degree level, or other academic changes. If you fail to keep your I-20 updated and accurate, it can result in the loss of your immigration status. The International Student Services Office is here to help with immigration needs, academic support, and we provide events and programs designed specifically for international students. We encourage students to make an appointment to individually speak with an International Student Services staff to review their concerns. We're located in Moody Hall, room 102. We also have an extensive website which includes forms, rules, and helpful resources. Students can also call our main number or send an email to our inbox. Currently, ISS advising can happen in two ways. First, students can make an appointment to individually meet with an ISS staff person. Additionally, we have 10-minute topic time. This is offered Monday through Friday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, where students can come in and ask very general questions. Welcome to St. Edward's University.